Hello everyone, and welcome back to Behind the Bulletin. Thank you for tuning in today. Tonight, we're diving into a moment that sent shockwaves through the entire venue. A moment so unexpected, so bold, and so electrifying, that even Park Eun-bin herself was left frozen in disbelief. Park Eun-bin frozen in shock as Rowoon's bold move stuns the entire crowd. What exactly did Rowoon do in front of hundreds of witnesses? Why did the audience gasp simultaneously? How did a single move turn the entire atmosphere upside down? Stay with us, because we're about to break down every second of the moment that no one saw coming. Let's begin. The atmosphere inside the Seoul Art Dome was electric long before the incident happened. But no one could have predicted the shockwave that would tear through the venue that night. Celebrities filled every seat, shimmering beneath the golden lights as fans screamed from the upper balconies. It was supposed to be a celebration, an awards night filled with flawless speeches, graceful performances, and glittering smiles. But the moment Rowoon stepped onto the stage, everything changed. He wasn't scheduled to present anything at that time. He wasn't listed in the program. Even the hosts exchanged confused glances as he walked forward with slow, deliberate steps, shoulders squared, eyes locked on something, or someone, in the audience. Bin noticed him immediately. She sat elegantly in the third row, wearing a gown that shimmered like moonlight across a midnight ocean. Her expression shifted from polite surprise, to confusion, and then to something much more fragile. She could tell something was wrong. Everyone could. Rowoon took the microphone without waiting for permission. Gasps erupted across the hall as the cameras panicked, scrambling to zoom in on his face. There was something burning in his eyes, an intensity that did not belong on a night meant for calm elegance. His first words cracked through the hall like thunder. "Need to say something." The audience erupted into whispers. Staff members stationed near the wings suddenly froze mid-motion, headsets buzzing with frantic chatter. This wasn't scripted. This wasn't rehearsed. And Rowoon looked like a man who had already crossed a line he could never step back from. Park Eun-bin's heart pounded so loudly she could hear nothing else. Rowoon continued, voice trembling with a mix of fear and defiance. "I've stayed silent for too long, and after tonight, I can't hold it in anymore." Cameras cut to Eun-bin's face. Her eyes widened, shining with disbelief. She mouthed silently, "What are you doing?" But Rowoon didn't stop. He stole a shaky breath and said, "There's someone in this audience who changed my life. Someone who made me realize what it means to care, what it means to grow, what it means to feel something real." The entire hall went still. You could hear the breath being sucked out of hundreds of lungs at once. You could hear the distant hum of lights, the faint rustling of dresses, the thump of a cameraman bumping into equipment as he tried to zoom in. Eun-bin's hands gripped the sides of her dress. Everyone knew exactly who Rowoon was talking about, but no one dared say it aloud. Then, like a slow, inevitable storm, Rowoon lifted his hand and pointed directly at her. A gasp tore across the dome. People stood up from their seats, turned their heads, shouted in disbelief. Even the hosts on stage froze, mouths open, able to process what Rowoon had just done. Park Eun-bin felt every pair of eyes in the dome shift toward her at once. Heat crawled up her neck. Her breath hitched. She stared at Rowoon, stunned, her expression a mixture of shock, fear, and something painfully vulnerable. Rowoon's expression softened. And then, in front of the entire entertainment industry, he said, "Park Eun-bin, I need to say this to you." Erupted, some with cheers, some with chaos, others with pure confusion. The camera zoomed in so close you could see Eun-bin's eyelashes trembling. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Continued before she could react. "I know I shouldn't do this here. I know everyone is watching. But if I don't say it now, I'll regret it forever." In the balcony screamed. Fans sobbed. Live chat stream online exploded so violently that the servers lagged. Eun-bin, however, couldn't move. Sat frozen, eyes trembling, chest rising and falling too quickly. Her grip on her dress tightened until the fabric creaked under her fingers. Rowoon looked straight into her soul. Deserved to know the truth. The lights flickered. The dome held its breath. Eun-bin whispered, barely audible, "Rowoon, stop." But he didn't. Instead, he stepped closer to the edge of the stage. And then, with the entire world watching, made a move so bold, so unprecedented, so wildly unpredictable, the audience lost its mind. Rowoon jumped off the stage, He didn't walk. He didn't descend the stairs. Landing only a few meters away from her row. Screams filled the hall. Staff ran to intercept him. Others gasped. Fans shrieked. Eun-bin shot up from her seat instinctively, eyes wide with panic. Eun straightened his coat, looked at her trembling form, and whispered into the microphone, "Park Eun-bin, I'm not afraid anymore." And the hall exploded into pure chaos. For a heartbeat, time inside the Seoul Art Dome stopped. Rowoon stood on the aisle floor, breath unsteady, eyes fixed on Park Eun-bin with a raw intensity that rippled through every corner of the venue. Cameras pivoted wildly, trying to capture both of their faces, his overflowing with determination, hers frozen with disbelief. He rushed toward him, but he raised one hand, palm outward, a quiet warning. "Just one moment," he said, voice trembling. Something in his tone made them hesitate. Something desperate, something undeniably sincere. Park Eun-bin's legs felt weak. Took a step back, then another, her heartbeat pounding as loudly as the screams echoing from the upper levels. She had been shocked many times throughout her career, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared her for the sight of Rowoon standing there, beneath her, looking up like the entire universe hung on her response. Climbed the steps toward her. Each step seemed impossibly loud, the echo of his shoes hitting the stairs slicing through the frantic whispers spreading like wildfire across the dome. "Rowoon, don't come any closer," said, her voice faint, cracking under the weight of everything she didn't know how to process. He kept going. By the time he reached her row, she was trembling. Out of fear, but because she had no idea what he would say next, or what he had already set in motion. The thing he had done tonight was irreversible. He stepped into her row. Just meters away now. Fans held their breath, hands covering their mouths. Even celebrities, veterans of the industry, sat frozen. Rowoon stopped a single step in front of her. "Eun-bin," he whispered into the microphone. It sounded like it was meant only for her. "I'm sorry for putting you in this position. I know this is too much. I know I shouldn't have done it like this." Her chest tightened. Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced them back. "Why are you doing it?" she asked, voice trembling. He swallowed hard. "Because I can't pretend anymore," he breathed. "Not when you're right in front of me. Not when every moment we shared keeps echoing in my head." The hall erupted with gasps. Eun-bin shook her head, unable to speak. Her lip trembled. She clenched her hands so tightly her knuckles turned white. Rowoon continued, voice cracking. "Tried to stay professional. I tried to forget. I tried to bury it. But none of it worked. Kept losing sleep. I kept thinking about everything we didn't say. And tonight, seeing you walk in, looking like that, I knew I couldn't hide anymore." He took a step closer. She flinched. Because she was afraid, but because she was overwhelmed. The audience was dead silent. "You changed me," he said softly. "Me better. You made me want to show up differently, for myself. For my work. For the people around me." A tear rolled down Eun-bin's cheek. The camera caught it. The dome erupted into screams. Rowoon reached out, slowly, as if scared to cross an invisible line, then gently lifted the microphone away from his own mouth. He turned it off. The speakers cut out. Only she could hear him. "Eun-bin, please look at me." She did. Her eyes shimmered with shock, fear, pain, and something else. Things she didn't want the world to see. He leaned in slightly, not touching her, just close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath. "I didn't take this risk lightly," he whispered. "I may ruin everything. My reputation. My career. Your peace. But keeping silent was destroying me more than any scandal ever could." Her breath caught. A soft, broken sound escaped to her. "Now," she whispered back. "Why here?" "Because if I didn't do it now," he said, "I would never do it at all." Silence between them thickened, suffocating. The audience couldn't hear the words, but they felt the tension as if it were electrically charged in the air. Then Eun-bin finally spoke, her voice shaking. "Rowoon, you can't say things like that. Not here. Not in front of everyone." "I know," he said softly. "Did you to know?" He stepped back at last, breathing hard, as if pulling away from gravity itself. Then he turned his microphone back on. The audience leaned forward so sharply it looked like a wave crashing. Rowoon bowed deeply, so deeply it shocked everyone. He apologized to the audience, to the organizers, to everyone here. His head, eyes full of fire. But not for what I feel. The hall detonated. Screams. Cheers. Gasps. Shock. Chaos. Park Eun-bin stood frozen in place as he walked back down the aisle. Her heart raced, her vision blurred. Thousands of eyes burned into her, waiting, begging, for her reaction. She lifted her hand to her chest, struggling to steady her breath. Eun reached the main stage again. He paused. Back at her one last time. The camera zoomed in. Her trembling hand. Devastated expression. The unbearable tension between them. Then, he whispered the words that would immortalize the night. I'll wait for your answer, no matter how long it takes. The dome collapsed into hysteria. Park Eun-bin couldn't move. The shock wasn't leaving her body anytime soon. As the lights dimmed inside the Seoul Art Dome, one truth lingered in the air. This night would be remembered forever. Eun's bold confession had torn through the boundaries of caution, etiquette, and expectation. Park Eun-bin's stunned silence had spoken louder than any scripted words. Audience, frozen, breathless, had witnessed a moment no one could have predicted. He walked away with the weight of the world on his shoulders, while she stood trembling beneath a spotlight she never asked for. The entire industry buzzed with shock. Social media melted under the pressure of theories and emotions. Yet, through the chaos, one question echoed louder than the rest. What will Park Eun-bin say next? No answer came that night. Only a silence heavy enough to shake the entertainment world to its core. Sometimes, silence is not the end. Sometimes, it is simply the beginning of a story no one saw coming. Thank you so much for joining us on this emotional, heart-stopping journey. Your support and curiosity are what fuel every story we bring to life here on Behind the Bulletin. Stay tuned, because new revelations, deeper twists, more unforgettable moments are always just around the corner. This is Behind the Bulletin. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.